Hi, I'm Richard Morais, Senior Minister at Unity of Phoenix Spiritual Center, and I want to thank you for visiting our website and for tuning in to today's message. If you feel inspired by today's talk, I really encourage you to make a donation by hitting that button below and making a contribution to this ministry. It'll allow us to continue these messages online and to do the great work we do here at Unity of Phoenix, which is to inspire people to live better lives. So thanks for tuning in, thanks for your support, and we hope to see you at a Sunday real soon.
So do you believe prayer works? 3? Woo! 3! Woo! So do you believe prayer works? Okay. So is it something that you use and practice on a regular basis? So I think there are two elements for prayer to be effective. The first one is I believe that prayer has to take us or expand our experience of God. It has to really open in something in our soul to really open a space so we experience more God than we usually experience, right? So for a prayer to be effective, it really has to open something in our soul that leads us into more God. The second thing that I think is absolutely fundamental for prayer to be effective is that we actually have to pray. Right? How many of you wish you could just pay somebody to pray for you? Right? Like, I'm busy, can we just get a professional prayer in here? Right? And the idea is that the busier that we become, the more it becomes more and more necessary for us to take the time to get filled up. And over again, one of the things I want you to see is that I want you to be filled up. I want your soul to be filled to overflowing. Because in our busy lives, we absolutely need to be full. And I've got some things that I want you to see is some signs that you need to spend some more time in prayer. Ready? In fact, I've got 10 of them for you. I have 10 signs that you need to spend more time in prayer. So the first one is, if you're feeling burned out, you need to spend more time in prayer. If you're anxious, more time in prayer. Quick to anger, more time in prayer. Feeling empty, if you're feeling afraid, overwhelmed, more time in prayer. If you're feeling disconnected, sad, depressed, hopeless, more time in prayer. How far do you want me to go? Right? Because what I want you to see is that there's a sign that you're getting close to empty. And every one of us has our tell that shows that we're getting close to empty, and we can keep trying to grind it out. We can keep being busy. We can keep trying to get it done. But I'm telling you, your soul is not full. And when your soul is not full, I guarantee there's a symptom in your life. 3 years ago, I became a caregiver. Any other caregivers in the room? I became a caregiver. And 3 years ago, Julie was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she went through 10 months of treatment, and thank God she's cancer-free. And the last thing they did in this process was they gave her a hormone suppressant. Now, the hormone suppressant most of the time has no effect on 99.99% of the women that take it. But when Jill took the hormone, within 30 days, she started having migraines. And not just migraines, she had migraines that led to paralysis. So half of her body would kind of go numb, would be paralyzed. And so, which, when you've been a very active person all your life, for half your body to kind of go numb, is kind of difficult. So for the first couple of months, she had to stay in a very dark room with very little sensory input, because if we could minimize her sensory input, she'd be okay, right? So, and she's come so far in the last 2 years. It's absolutely amazing. But in the last 3 years, I have cooked more meals, gone more shopping, done more laundry, everything, like in ways that I had never done in the rest of my life. I think in the last 3 years, I've done more of being a good guy than I've ever done. Because I don't usually lead with being a good guy, right? So and then 6 months ago, we moved my mom from Southern California here because she needed more support. So we moved her right around the corner. So she's now close. In fact, she's somewhere in the room. Mom, where are you? Are you here? Raise your hand. I know you're here. Oh, there you are, way in the back row. I don't make her sit way in the back row. She can really sit wherever she wants to, but there she is. So 6 months ago, we moved my mom because she needed more support. And so now, there's times when I'm taking care of her. There's times when I'm taking care of Jill. And one of the themes that they began to voice to me was that I was a little cranky. Right? And it was said in the kindest kind of way, but Richard, you're kind of cranky. Like, what's going on? You're kind of cranky. And I realized that the methodology that I was using for dealing with my stress wasn't working, that old movies and donuts are not a great way, right, to deal with your stress, right? And so the idea was that, so what are you going to do about this? Because you being cranky all the time is not really an attractive feature. Anybody ever try this as a method, being cranky? And it doesn't always work. You don't always get the response that you want from your loved ones when you're cranky all the time. And so what I began to look at is that I needed to spend a whole lot more time in prayer. That I was actually, after 3 years, I was empty. And that if I didn't spend more time in prayer, I didn't know what was going to happen next. Because there's things that I need to do. And so over the last 6 months, I've made a commitment to really double the amount of time, sometimes triple the amount of time that I've spent in prayer because I needed to be filled up. And I really invite you to look at your life. And with all that's going on in your life, are you spending enough time in prayer? Because I know that what we believe is, oh yeah, prayer's a really good thing. But if you're going through a lot of changes, if there's a lot of stress in your life, there's a lot going on in your life, it's not an option. That we're either going to get filled up or we're going to run out. And so over the next 5 weeks, what I want to share with you is 5 prayers that I believe will change your life. 5 prayers that I believe that are fundamentally important so that our soul gets to be filled. But it doesn't help if you know these and don't do them, right? How many of you know that you could really spend a lot more time in prayer, right? And so what I'm going to suggest, because I'm going to start with your homework, right? Usually I get to the end of my talk and then I kind of try to slide the homework in at the end and hope you don't really notice it, but you kind of hear it, right? So I'm actually going to start with the homework. For the next 5 weeks, I want you to take the prayer that I give you each week, and I want you to spend a significant amount of time, whether that's 10 minutes for you or an hour for you or an hour and a half a day. I want you to spend a significant amount of time actually doing your prayer work so that you can see if prayer really works for you. If it makes a difference when your soul is full. Because I guarantee that most of us, if we had a little thermometer on our side, would see that our soul's not quite as full as we've been led to believe. That one of the things I've been teaching over the last year that I've had to practice in my own life is that the soul only does one or two things. It either expands or it contracts, right? So when we're in disbelief, when we're in fear, when we're in a place of conflict or confusion, is your soul expanding or contracting? Contracting. When you're filled with love and joy and peace, and you know all the goodness in the world, is your soul expanding or contracting? Expanding. And the thing that's so amazing about your soul is your soul has infinite elasticity. That your soul can expand as big as anything in this world because your soul is designed to hold God. And God is big. God is infinitely large. So the bigger you can expand, the more you can allow your soul to expand out, the more God you get to hold, the more good you can hold, the more peace, the more abundance, the more joy you can hold, because your soul is the vessel that allows you to hold God, right? So if you tell yourself the truth, if you look at the last week, in the last week, have you been expanding or contracting? We got one expander. Right? Because what I want you to see today is that there really is an incredible need for you to let God fill you up. And the greatest way to get filled up is to pray. See, one of the things that I love about unity, many things I love about unity, but one of the things I love about unity is that 100 years ago when unity was created, the dominant thought was negative. right? The dominant thought was negative. And you can probably think of a time in your life where your dominant thought was negative, right? The dominant thought was negative, and in Unity, we invited people to move into an experience of a positive thought. And moving from a negative thought base to a positive thought base is a game changer. Like when you're thinking, your dominant thought is negative, life looks hard and dark and scary, right? But as you begin to open your mind to thinking positive thoughts, there's more space, there's more room for God, life is better. And then we go from having negative beliefs to positive beliefs, to actually understanding spiritual principles and applying those spiritual principles in our life, and it changes us. But the thing that I love most about Unity is it helps us have a direct connection with the divine. And in Unity, we teach prayer and meditation is our way of having a direct connection with the divine and actually downloading the divine. How many of you ever upgraded your operating system in your computer? Anybody gotten to Windows 10 that didn't have Windows 10 before? Or what's the Mac thing? Is it OS 10 in Mac? Right? And if you've never had that operating system, your computer can actually go from a limited operating system to a much more sophisticated operating system that it's actually wired for that. You actually have the hardware for that. And what I want you to see is your soul is exactly the same way. That your soul is actually designed for a higher operating system. And as you move into more and more prayer, as you allow God to fill you up, you actually change the way you operate. You go from a fear-based reality to a love-based reality. You go to a lack-based reality to an abundance-based reality. You go from negativity to possibilities. That all of that happens when your soul begins to download more God than you've ever held before. So you ready for this week's prayer? Let there be light. Will you say that with me? Let there be light. One more time, like we actually mean it together. Let there be light. One more time. Let there be light. Genesis 1 through 4, we read this. In the beginning was God. And God created the heavens and the earth was formless and void. Darkness covered the face of the deep. And the winds from God swept over the face of the waters. And then God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God said that the light was, do you know what it is? Good. So the first word in Scripture that God ever spoke, the first word that created heaven and earth, the first word that actually created form for the very first time was let there be light. That the most profound and powerful thing that we say as spiritual beings is let there be light. That once we begin to claim let there be light, we begin to realize what Jesus said, that ye are the light of the world. That each and every one of us is a conduit, is a channel for the light of God. And yet, can you see a world today where we could use more light? Yes. Do you see the world today is just overflowing with too much light? And then we're all just so drunk on the light that we're not getting anything done. Right? That's not the world that I see right now. The world that I see right now is really struggling, and the very people that could be bringing more and more light to the world is us. We're the ones. Let there be light. Together, let there be light. Let there be light. In every area of your life, let there be light. With every need, with every challenge, with every problem, with everything that's going on in our world, let there be light. Because the light of God in us wants to radiate out, but as we join together in prayer, we unleash this power, this ability, this godness, if you will, that makes a profound difference. Let there be light. Together, let there be light. So where can you pray this prayer? Well, the first thing I'd like you to look at is that you can pray this prayer for any relationship. If you're having a relationship that's going through an awkward time, or if you're having a relationship with your kids or your parents or a situation, let there be light. And it's amazing that as you affirm, let there be light in a situation that looks tense or it looks conflicted, there's this amazing thing that happens with let there be light, is it begins to reveal what you need to do to heal and move the situation forward. Let there be light. Let there be light at work. How many of you could see that your workplace may not be as light-filled as it could be? Right? Let there be light. In your finances, let there be light. In the healings that you desire in your body, let there be light. In the blessings of your home or your business, let there be light. In the blessing of others, let there be light. In the blessing of our nation, let there be light. Together, let there be light. That we have the ability to channel light anywhere in the universe because it's in us. We were created in the image and likeness of God. God is light. And as we begin to express that light in greater and greater ways, let there be light. If you ever lose your keys, oh, come on, you never lose your keys? How many of your cell phone spends more time away from you than with you? Right? Let there be light. Let there be light. If you have a choice to make, let there be light. Right? Let there be light, because every time there's a choice to be made, we want to move toward the light. We want to move toward the direction where the light would be the greatest in our life. Let there be light. If you have a friend going through a difficult time, let there be light. Because light changes. Light takes what is and takes it higher. That light is the great transformative power in the universe. That every great creation starts with light. Let there be light. We've heard since the time we were children that it's better to light one candle than curse the darkness. And see, what's so powerful about that is that darkness has no power. But darkness just doesn't sweep over us. It's actually just the absence of light. So every time we bring light into a situation, into a moment, into a possibility, every time we light a candle, we don't chase the darkness away. What we begin to see is that darkness is just the illusion that because we didn't let our light shine. That wherever there is darkness in your life, it's because you haven't brought the fullness of the light of God right there. Let there be light. Together, let there be light. That light transforms every situation, but you have to bring it into the moment. You have to be the instrument for that light in the world. You are the light of the world. Let your light so shine that men see your good works and give glory to God. You are the light that transforms every situation. How many of you have ever heard that you can only heal what you can see? Anybody have ever heard that? Okay, so here's the deal, right? From a spiritual point of view. From a spiritual point of view, we are moving from a time of being unconscious to being conscious. Is that true? So in the beginning, we all created out of unconsciousness. We didn't know what we were doing. We sometimes felt like victims. We sometimes felt disempowered. We didn't really understand the power that was within us, that we were created in the image and likeness of God, that we are whole and complete and lacking in nothing. We didn't really understand it, so we created out of unconsciousness. And we felt like a victim. We felt life was tough. But then when we move from unconscious to conscious, we begin to realize that we have conscious choices that we can make, that we are actually in charge of our own destiny, that we can actually move our life forward by the way that we decide. And we move from unconsciousness to consciousness is the ability to fully awaken to the full power of God within us. And what I want you to see today, that moving to see more requires more light. Is that true? You can't see in the dark. Well, they have those gizmos now where I guess you can. But by and large, you can't see in the dark. And the difficulty is when you look in your own soul, you can't see what you can't see. Now, all your loved ones can see it. Right? But when you're unconscious, has anybody ever had an issue pointed out lovingly by a friend or family member? Right? Do you have issues? Some of us have issues. And sometimes when we're unconscious, we can't see our own issues. But it doesn't mean we're not living them out. It doesn't mean we're not expressing them. It doesn't mean we're not blessing them with the people around us by our issues, right? And then someone will say, well, do you see what you're doing there? It's like, what? Right? Because we haven't brought the light to that place. And then when we do bring the light to that place in us, when we bring the light to that place within our soul, we can make a new choice. Let there be light. Will you say that with me? Let there be light. Let there be light. Where's the place where you have felt the most stuck? Where's the place where you felt the most wounded? Where's the place where you felt the most disappointed? Let there be light. Let there be light. Let me see. Invite God right there. Let God move in and through you in the place that would transform your life in the greatest possible way. Let there be light. See, one of the biggest fears is if we turn on the light, we're going to have to see things that we don't want to see. We're going to see things about ourselves that we'd rather not see about ourselves. We just rather turn down the light and just pretend it's not there. But the reality is once you begin to turn on the light, then you can begin to love yourself in the place where you need the most love. You can forgive yourself in the place where you need the most forgiveness. You don't have to live in shame. See, when we live in shame, we actually will tolerate a high level of darkness because we just don't think we can tolerate to see anything more about ourselves. But as we begin to move more and more to the light, more and more toward love, we can actually see the things within us that need to be healed or transformed or blessed so that everything in our life can become greater. See, what begins to happen is as we turn on the light, not only do we see the parts of us that need to be healed, but we also see our greatness. When we don't turn the light on in our soul all the way, yes, you don't have to see the things within you that have been wounded, but you also don't get to see your own greatness. And when we're willing to say, let there be light, what begins to happen is everything in our soul becomes illumined. We begin to see the glory of God that's within us, and that is the best possible thing. The Apostle Paul said this in 1 Corinthians 13. He said, when I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put away childish ways. For now I see in the mirror dimly, but then I will see face to face. Now I know in part, but then I will know fully, even as I have been known fully. See, the most exciting thing about this is as you begin to turn the light on, you begin to see yourself the way God created you. Yes, you can see the parts of you that need to be healed. You can see the small little mistakes you made in the past, but you can also see your greatness. You can also see the best that's within you that you can't see when the light's not on. You were created in the image and likeness of God. Are you a little curious about that? Like just a little curious about that. If you could see yourself the way God sees you, do you think it would change the way you live your life? I think it would. I think it would radically change the way we do life if we could hold our own greatness, if we could hold the magnificence within us. And what I want you to hear today is let there be light is the transformative tool that I think many of us need to move our life from where it is right now to a greater possibility. Let there be light. Together, let there be light. One more time. Let there be light. Because I love this line. Paul says, now I look in the mirror dimly, but one day I will see face to face. Now I look in the mirror and I see all my mistakes. I see all my shortcomings. I see all my failures in the past. But one day I'll look in the mirror and I'll see the face of God looking back at me. I'll actually see God as me. I'll actually see myself the way God sees me, whole and complete, and lacking in nothing. Let there be light. Together, let there be light. Okay, so you ready for your homework? So your homework for this week is I want you to take a significant amount of time for you. And maybe 5 minutes is a significant amount of time in your prayer life. But maybe it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it is, right? And I want you to spend an hour a day in prayer with one idea. Let there be light. And when your mind begins to wander, you can bring it back with, let there be light. Let there be light. Let there be light. And I want you to begin to bring that light in the places within you that you feel the most stuck. Right? If there's a challenge at work, if there's a challenge in your relationship, there's a challenge in your finances, wherever you feel the most stuck, I want you to bring light right there and to bring the full power, the light of God that's in you to work on your behalf. See, God has given you the light, but if you don't use it, it doesn't bless you. One more time. Let there be light. One more time. Let there be light. Are you willing? 7 days, let there be light. Then next week, I'm going to give you another one. Holy moly, Richard, what are you talking, right? But each week, I'm going to give you another prayer. And I want you to practice it. And I want you to actually see if it works, if it makes a difference in your life, if it serves you. If it doesn't work, you don't need it. You don't have time for it anyway. But if it transforms you, if you feel different, if your life is greater because of it, then I suggest you use it. One more time, you ready? Let there be light. Pray with me. I want you to open your mind, your heart, your soul to the activity of God that is right here, right now. Let there be light. Let there be light in every area of my life. Let there be light. Let there be light in my home. Let there be light in my work. Let there be light in my body. Let there be light in every cell of my body. Let there be light. Let there be light in this ministry. Let there be light in our nation. Let there be light. Let there be light. And the more that I bring the light into everything, the more I am healed at depth. And I see my own greatness. Let there be light. Jesus said, "You are the light of the world. Let your light so shine that men see your good works and give glory to God." And so it is. Amen. God bless you all. Have a great week. Thanks for being here.